At this point, I don't even know what to title these videos anymore. So over the last 2 weeks, I've already made 3 videos announcing the return of 3 legendary StarCraft 2 pro gamers. First off, TY. He wrapped up his mandatory military service and he decided to come back. Then we had a very similar story for both Stats and INnoVation as well. Today, we have another one. I don't know what's happening, guys, but this is very exciting. If I were to make a guess, it probably has to do with other RTS games on the horizon, and these guys are probably, they're probably thinking, you know what, let's get back into the swing of things, and let's make sure that I once again hone my skills. Anyways, this guy is an absolute legend. He's one of the only 2 pro gamers who won the StarCraft 2 World Championships twice. Cyril, of course, he won the StarCraft 2 World Championships 2 times, but this man is the only other player to ever do it, and, well, far before Cyril ever managed to pull it off. He was the world champion in 2013 when he won over Jaedong. In 2015, he won over Life. He also won that infamous $100,000 winner-takes-all tournament that we had back in 2014. Of course, that means we are looking inside of the main base of SOS. Now, SOS was nicknamed SOS, or with an O, I guess, SOS, just because this man is very good at winning money. Generally speaking, he seems to power up whenever there's like 100 grand on the line, and that's what he's been doing for a long time, and apparently he is also back to the game. Now, what I've got for you today is a best-of-7 series, where his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner with the red Terran SCVs, we have none other than INnoVation. So INnoVation versus SOS in a best-of-7. This might take a while. I hope you got yourself a drink, because Best-of-7s can, well, easily take an hour and a half. So I don't really know exactly what to expect from this one. But this is the only series I can find, and I'm excited, man. Because these guys, they are some of my, I mean, I was going to say childhood favorites. Maybe that's a little extreme, because I was like, back in 2011. I don't want to do the math. Anyways, what exactly are we going for, by the way? We've got ourselves a proxy Stargate in a very curious location. Oh, no, SOS, for real? He is going to go for a proxy Nexus as well. Okay. So, SOS is the kind of guy who will put all of the money that he's got on red, okay? He's the kind of guy who will gamble the house. Maybe not literally, but in a game of StarCraft 2, this... Just in case you're unfamiliar, this is what SOS loves to do. So, the first game back, we're looking at SOS going for a proxy Nexus on Royal Blood together with a proxy Stargate. Fantastic. Now, at this point, INnoVation, of course, is looking around. He's counting pylons. He's seen, well, 1. At this point, there should probably be a Nexus. There should probably be at least a second pylon. What exactly do you assume? So, this proxy Stargate location isn't even really that close to the Terran's main. So, I want to see where, yeah, INnoVation is going to scout. It makes sense he's going to check this location right over there on the left, maybe. But for a proxy Stargate, this is really quite far away. So, of course, what SOS can do is recall probes towards this golden base, and then suddenly, life is gonna be pretty amazing. So, I'm assuming that's the plan right here. Just a moment. Okay, now the Reaper does see exactly what's going on, but I've got a feeling that we are already a little bit too late. There's not really a whole lot that you can do. There you go. Recalling, conservative amount of probes. Wouldn't have minded seeing a couple more headed on over towards the left side of the map, but at the very least, now SOS can immediately start producing 2 probes at once, and some of them will appear at the golden minerals instead. Okay, so this Reaper is gonna go down as well. This game is going really well right here for the South Korean Protoss. Man, this is literally one of those games that could have been played in like 2011. We are a decade into the future, more than a decade into the future. I'll look up actually after game number 1 how many times historically these two have faced off against each other, but it must have been many times. I don't really necessarily recall any games in particular, but just because they've both been competing for over a decade, I can imagine that, yeah, there are quite a few games that these two have played against each other. Anyways, Blink follow-up right here, by the way, from SOS. Maybe this little Widowmine drop can get some sort of work done. Obviously, a Protoss player is very split up. He does have energy for a recall, I would imagine, but he decides to, yeah, not... Oh, he's already obviously used it on the probes, that's why. I was gonna say, that makes things a little bit more complex if he doesn't send any units back home. Then again, though, even though these probes aren't mining for a while, he's got a Revelation available, so the Widowmine gets shut down. Yeah, these probes, they can go back to mining right now. He didn't really lose that many of them, and while there is gonna be, yeah, a little bit of an income disadvantage there for the Protoss player momentarily, this should spike back up here as the probes return. So, Oracle, yeah, he's gonna keep tabs right there of that one medevac. You don't really want to just chase it around because there's still Marines inside of that plane, but at this point, INnoVation is forced to make moves. Obviously, INnoVation only very recently wrapped up his own military service as well, so these are the type of games that you really have to be... Oh, he doesn't get it. These are the types of games you really have to be on point for, as SOS, by the way. Goes for the second gold base. Let's go. Yeah, in case you're unfamiliar with SOS and you enjoy watching crazy Protoss players, yeah, you'll be in for a treat. I hope this man decides to play many more games, because I am already enjoying this. Of course, though, we are up against INnoVation, who's considered to be one of the most stock standard Terran players out there. So, yeah, not really any craziness, I think, coming out of him. But now Blink is done, and suddenly the Stalkers are appearing inside of the main base of the Terran player. Are we really gonna go just for a full-on base race right from the get-go? There's that Raven, by the way, in the top right-hand corner. I think it would have been nice to have that one in the middle of battle, too. The majority of the army decides to come back. Just the siege tank and the Widow Mine apparently has been tasked with killing whatever it can. We need to see another Blink right here on top of that tank, too. Okay, I guess he just used it already, so he can't actually move around. Medevac goes down, too. Probes have found a new location to start mining from, as the base on the right side of the map has already finished up too. Siege Tank is finishing up the Nexus. I think it will go down, but so much damage is being done by SOS here inside of the main base. 18 SCVs have gone down. Can he get the Raven? That would be huge. He does not have the high ground vision. Well, Oracle was just ever so slightly out of reach. He decides he wants to save this Nexus. That's not gonna happen, is it? Nah, the Nexus will end up going down. Gonna have to Blink on top of this. That Widow Mine, though, lovely little play, but good micro there from SOS too, noticing it right away. Okay, so we are off to a flying start in this best of 7. But you know what? Income-wise, yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster, but in the end, it is SOS who comes out ahead here. 36 probes only, but a bunch of them are on the golden minerals. Wouldn't even mind seeing some of these right now. Well, I guess once this base is repositioned here to get recalled right there to the left side once again. Okay, so what do you do right now, I think your best bet is to sit back. Yeah. Go for a second tech lab, go for the stim pack and the combat shield research. Wait until +1 infantry weapons is done. Just play defensively. It's really your only choice against these sort of openers here from SOS, because now Blink Stalkers are going to be able to dominate the map. You're going to need a large army in order to contest this, and that means that SOS has all the time in the world to do whatever he likes, and apparently what he likes is going for a Dark Shrine. Okay, let's go. Let's see how this all plays out. That's very dangerous, man. I don't think he needs to go for a Dark Shrine. But in these type of games, when it's chaos everywhere, the chances of your opponent forgetting about detection are really rather big, right? Do you think Inno is gonna put down a missile turret here? Do you think he's gonna save scan energy? Look at the minimap, by the way. There's just units going back and forth and back and forth. Everything's already... This is fantastic. I'm so happy to see these pro gamers return, man. It's so exciting to have some of the best players once again get back to the game. When I first started playing StarCraft 2, people told me you were a boomer at like age 25, okay? And that your hands were gonna get too slow. But it really isn't the case. These guys... at least strategically are 100% still on point. Maybe APM-wise, they are a little slower. But then again, there's not really that many units to use. Anyways, well, he now sees that the golden base here has been mining for a while. I would have rather seen a unit going up north. Do you really suspect, though, that your opponent is once more gonna take the golden base there in the top left-hand corner? I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, Inno, confirming that base on the right side, now decides to load up a medevac full of units. And he decides to go to, well, that mineral line. There's so many zealots, though. This is an ability that is going to be quite handy here as well for SOS, who's apparently planning to just deal as much damage as possible. This is one of the dirtiest games I've casted in a while. +1 coming up, too. +1 after Shadow Strike. Not quite the standard, guys, in case you're unfamiliar. There are so many charge slots, though. Looks like, ooh, the medevac drop also got cleaned up. I missed that, I apologize, but apparently the medevac drop also got sniped by a small group of stalkers. SOS seems to be in control of everything. I'm actually very impressed. I thought Most of the time, people seem a little bit shaky when they first returned from the military, but that was maybe the case for TY, but both stats and INnoVation seem to be very on point, and no difference here for SOS yet either, right? SOS. INnoVation's like, yo, you must have taken a natural by now, right? Right? Nope, not the case. Shield battery coming up over here. Brutal way to go, but at least he killed a couple of probes. Jimmy over here also, very similar situation. So, Shadow Stride is done. We've only got 2 Dark Templar. That's actually pretty conservative. I thought we were gonna warp in like a dozen of them. That is expensive, of course, though. I think they're just gonna sit here and wait for the Terran army to move out. Yeah, these guys are ready to go and push as soon as the Terran player gets a little bit too ambitious. That being said, though, we have a Widowmine over here on the left side of the map. That being said, he just used a scan. There's one more scan available right here for Terran, but no detection. These Dark Templar, they one-shot workers, and that is gonna be a disaster. Now suddenly there are units everywhere. DT is also being used defensively here on the right side, as SOS is pushing straight for the win here. He is going for the throat. The Gambler is back, man. This is unnecessary. He could have set over there on the right side of the map. The DTs were already putting on so much pressure, but he just snipes the command center right there on the, well, the natural. The one in the main base also targeted down already, and I do believe that it will... Force field? Force fields? Force fields? Ah! Could have had a force field there, but both of the orbital commands are gone. There are no locations. There's no minerals either. There's no locations for these SCVs to return minerals, so... yeah, you can pull the boys. There's nothing to do for these SCVs anymore. There's no command center available, so there's no way for him to rebuild. He's gonna have to cancel whatever he can if he wants to start up a new command center, but I don't think he really has a choice other than to go all in. I mean, there's also no detection available other than that one Raven, so he kind of needs it, right? That Raven's gonna pop here very soon. Preemptive Stimpak. My god. INnoVation loves doing this, by the way. This is how you know it's definitely INnoVation playing, despite the barcode. I feel like he's been dead in the water for like 5 minutes, but he's like, no, I must hurt more. Like, this is a painful game for Terran. But this is how you win championships. Never giving up. Never surrendering. We're gonna float the barracks to the corner. Sure. Why not? He plans on winning the game with this. Now, I don't think there's a way of doing that. As a matter of fact, there's 2 Nexi on the production tab. The base on the right side did get cleaned up as well. The golden minerals over here. There's no way, man. I mean, look at the army supply army supply count right here. 107 versus 37. I want to believe right here in INnoVation's capabilities. He's gonna need to get a banger of a hit here, but immediately revelation from that Oracle that we saw, well, like 9 minutes ago at this point in the game. Still around, still dealing damage. Very aggressive blink forward. That's the Raven going down. And that means that even though these Stalkers are gonna be sacrificed for the greater good, there is no detection anymore available here for the Terran player. So these guys, they're going the wrong way around. I think there's one more, yeah. There's 4 of them. There is no way for Terran to get anything done. He decides to... He doesn't need any of this. Yeah, he decides to play the trickiest game ever. But SOS wins game number 1. Alright, game number 2. We find ourselves on Neo-Humanity. The tone has been set. In case you needed some introduction on SOS, well, here you have it. The guy very clearly knows what he's doing. Okay. So, interestingly enough, I just had a quick look. This is the only series that SOS has played after completing his mandatory military service. So, before this particular match, the last ones he played were in September of 2021. And this is the only Best-of-7, the only Best-of-3, but he hasn't played anything else. This is the only series that SOS has played so far, which is pretty interesting. Not exactly sure what prompted him to play this particular match, but nothing else. Probably money, let's be real. They probably paid him. They were like, you know what? SOS, would you play this series if we give you a couple $100? He's like, ah, okay, fine. They call him $$, for a reason, right? Anyways, we'll see. Well, I don't know if that's the case. It's kind of funny. I was trying to figure out exactly when he wrapped up his mandatory military service, but according to his Liquipedia page, it's still pending, which is inaccurate, because, well, he's been streaming a little bit here and there, and in general, he certainly must be finished by now. Yeah, it says he retired. It actually says he's a retired pro gamer. Well, judging by the fact that I'm looking at these matches right now, I don't think that's entirely the case. Oh yeah, what I was gonna do, I was gonna look up the amount of times that these two have played against each other. Hold up, this is gonna take me just a second. SOS, INnoVation. Aligalek has an amazing tool for this, where you can look at literally every single tournament game that these guys have ever played against each other. They have played 31 matches with 83 maps in total. So definitely not bad whatsoever. Anyways, what exactly do we have right here in game number 2? I haven't really been paying attention too much because I was all tapped out while following around a couple of units. Command center on the low ground, got the knight right here. That's actually incredibly painful. You know, we're gonna need a couple units here to make sure that these adepts get pushed back. 4 marines ain't gonna cut it. Oh, he decides to go for a widow mine here as well. This is gonna slow down that expansion a lot. In the meantime, though, at the front, SOS going for double gateway and once again going for the blink upgrade. So, not as creative a build this time around. Okay, good control right here by Inno. A little bit of over damage here as well on some of those marines. Okay, he's gonna maximize the DPS. Is that one gonna get out? It will not. So eventually, I decided to stick it around for a little bit longer. Eventually, this command center will finish. But my god, has this already been delayed a lot. The main problem, right, whenever you do get delayed like this, is that you don't just rely on it for economy and for the orbital command and all that, but you also, you use it as a big supply depot. The command center itself prevents you from being supply blocked, so now you have to go for a faster extra depot, and it slows everything down a lot. I mean, you've already invested 400 minerals that then don't finish up at your, well, planned timing. So SOS, once again, starting off this game as well with a nice, clear advantage. Widow Mine drop here attempted, but if he, well, is dilly-dallying around the main base of the Protoss for much longer, the blink is going to finish up. Very slow reaction right there, but he does eventually pull the probes. Okay. 2 workers here in total. Nothing amazing. Supply-wise, though, Inno is still going to be alright. It's a little bit annoying. It makes the game a bit harder. But he decides to now go for the very safe approach. So once again, we've got ourselves a Raven here. Raven's rally towards the supply depot. This is one of these I don't want to die to anything type of builds. He's already seen Blink Stalker, so Dark Templar would not be super common, but not out of the question, especially when you're playing against SOS. So using it is going to be very helpful, since of course the Raven is going to be a detector as well. Now an aggressive blink forward before the bunker finishes up. This is because the timings have been out of whack right here on the side of Terran for a while. That means that this bunker is likely not going to finish. There's the cancel. Siege tank though does come up. He decides to blink forward, my god. Not entirely sure if that was the best move. But hey, it's SOS. He'll take the gamble. Problem is that this second siege tank is so powerful here, and there's really not much more than you can do. In the meantime, by the way, it looks like the Widow Mine drop must have gotten 4 more workers, or was it? No. Yeah, it's the Raven over here. Okay. So this Raven has already got 4 confirmed kills. Popping down an auto turret from time to time. Not bad. Auto turret, of course, a little bit weaker now as far as HP and, well, sustain goes compared to where it was in the past. But it's also, the Raven itself is a little bit cheaper. INnoVation trying to be as obnoxious as possible. Okay. In the end, it will get sniped. That Raven will probably try to return, but it's going to be difficult to get much done because now Blink Stalkers are roaming around this part of the map as well. We haven't really looked at this part of the map yet, by the way. Are we going to get the medevac? Yeah, he will. Just looking around over here for a second. There's like a... almost like a church type of structure here. Some sort of futuristic church with a couple of people parking their prototype benchies and rates over here at the front. Amazing. Dang, this is a very luxurious church where people take their own private jets. You love to see it. Anyways. Neo-Humanity, also known as Monaco. I'm assuming people take their helicopters to church and... I don't know, I've never been. Anyways, we've got ourselves a Colossus coming up right now. Don't forget to extend your thermal lance. Always important, SOS. I know I don't need to explain that many a times, but hey. Hey, there it is. The extended thermal lens upgrade is amazing. And also critical if you want to use them. It happens all the time that even at this level of play, the guys accidentally forget it. Now look at that production tab though. All of this movement around the map here has really made it possible for INnoVation to go back into this match, at least supply-wise. Okay, we're trying to deal some friendly fire here with that siege tank. So far, mission successful. My god. 7 SCVs right there. Pretty much all due to this tank. It says he's got 1 confirmed kill, but that's because he killed 1 zealot. And on top of that, a whole bunch of friendlies too. Ready to roll out! Yeah, see how it is. Oh look, it's a side entrance right there for the church. Amazing. Don't know exactly how you would get there, but that's where the plebs enter, I guess. That's where I would have to enter. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Anyhow. So this is a more comfortable game, right? Nothing all too crazy here. Well, I say that as we have a Colossus drop coming up, which you may have probably never... I probably have never uttered those words before on the YouTube channel. A Colossus drop. I must have said it at least twice, but generally speaking, this isn't a strategy. But if you can get it behind the mineral line, it can still be kind of nice. Missile turret guy, though, in charge right there, making sure that that will not happen. SOS decides to go for a pylon here, but it does get spotted by the watchtower. I think that's probably because he's once again gone for a dark shrine. Yeah, so this will get sniped over here. Probe is not gonna make that happen. That's a little bit of rustiness, or rustiness? That's a little bit of a rustiness coming in. SOS not quite realizing their range right here for this particular watchtower. Every watchtower has a specified range, of course, and well, if you would have known, he probably would have put it a little bit further back or a little bit further forward. Anyway, so Widow Mine drop needed over here defensively just to make sure that these zealots don't destroy literally everything. Rustiness is one of my favorite made-up words. I know I only just made it up, but it's one of my favorites. This is an excellent little fight right here for SOS, though. There is a Raven up in the air, so that's nice. Yeah, the Raven actually accidentally disabling... Well, maybe it wasn't an accident, but he disabled the Prism. This Terran army needs to be very cautious, though, because the Protoss forces are going to join together. Energy is now mostly gone out of that Raven as well, so I've got a feeling that these units will probably get cleaned up before the Terran reinforcements arrive, because they're so far out. I don't like this position here by INnoVation whatsoever. Now loses pretty much everything. These medevacs might be able to escape, but that was a lot of units that end up going down there for essentially free. INnoVation marched across the map ages ago. He made all of these reinforcements, well, in the meantime, and they should have been there too. Medevac goes down? Okay. That Raven in the back, once more, activated too. The rest of the Protoss army, though, has been trying its best to connect with that drop in the main base. He's marching a little bit of it back, pretending to be a Nexus right now on the minimap. Nexus over here, though, in a little bit of trouble, and INnoVation striking. Okay. So considering INnoVation just lost a lot of very expensive units, he's actually been making the best of a very tricky scenario. Got a feeling that these Terran units will also not be able to make it home, because, well, there's only one medevac up, and Zealots are charging this down. Yeah, good micro, though, by INnoVation. Yeah, very good stutter stepping here. Okay. Upgrade-wise... Oh, he decided to go shields first. That's interesting. Huh. Anyways, upgrades-wise, things are relatively even, but 2-2 is just about to finish here for Inno. About a half minute remaining on that one. We once again have the Shadow Stride research, by the way, which unsurprisingly is one of SOS's favorites. Oh, here's the lasers, though. These lasers are hurting. Yep. The lasers with additional range, they're pretty good. Especially against Marines. SOS grabbing the supply lead. Roasting whatever he can right now. They're not great against structures, but they slowly deal damage over time, and it's not bad at all. One Dark Templar attempting right there on the right side. Inno just buying time, right? Inno wants to try and get as many reinforcements out of his Terran structures before he commits, but he's gonna hit a supply block now with this very next supply depot. Okay, he decides to commit right now. Apparently, this is the moment where he wants to go. SCVs pulled away as well from their mineral lines. The Marauders in a really nice concave, maximizing the amount of damage that they can do. But I think SOS has once more outgrown INnoVation. INnoVation's looked incredibly good in the games that we've seen so far, but SOS is looking a little bit better overall. This is a high skill match, right? Like there's... maybe game number 1 was a little bit cheesy, but this one was a lot more straightforward. I mean, I think it's pretty much GG. Maybe I'm mistaken, though. Hold up right now. Those Colossi constantly firing now. 36 SCVs going down is a little bit too much. There's still 4 base economy as well for SOS, and he's now effectively reduced Terran to 2. Mules are good, but I don't think they're gonna be that good. Those Colossi, man. 15 kills, 18 kills, 19 kills. So they have been dealing the brunt of the damage. Now he's overextending a little bit though. Yeah, I think he believes that he can win the game right here. So he's decided to stick around, but backing off would not be a terrible choice. Okay, body blocking right there with the Stalkers. GG is called. And SOS wins game number 2. Next up, we find ourselves on Dragon Scales. Quick little probe scout right there from SOS. INnoVation does get the Reaper out, but he does not actually check for the back of his own natural. I mean, at this point, I don't think you're gonna go for a proxy, right? But at this one, I wouldn't be surprised either. That would be one hell of a proxy if you put it right there instead of your opponent's natural. Second pylon over here inside of the main base of SOS. I don't think it's really gonna be that aggressive. He decided to go for a low ground wall off, which again is a relatively modern thing. I quite like seeing that, to be honest. Stargate inside of the main base. Okay, a little bit of variety once again. Probe decides to now join forces here with that very first Adept. Probe is gonna get sacrificed. Nicely done. This is super annoying, right? So, good movement right there by INnoVation, though, saving it. One of the other low HP brothers gets apparently tasked with repairing it back up to full. But you can see the plan right here from SOS. Already trying to be annoying. Sniping that very first Widow Mine would have been really nice. Ooh, don't lose that. Ah, that sucks. Okay. Anyways, sniping that first one would have been really nice. Because there's obviously going to be a medevac drop on the back of this. Reaper eventually gets sniped, but it's a Phoenix opener now. Since SOS has seen the Widow Mines, Phoenixes are usually a good choice, but you still have to be on point with your micro. Okay. So INnoVation falling back to his good old habits, right? Going for that very macro-oriented style. Trying to be that rock solid, that rock solid player. By the way, somebody messaged me on Instagram about the origin of INnoVation's name, because I was a little bit confused about that. Hold up, give me a sec. Ah, I found it. Okay, so on Instagram, and by the way, you should follow me at LowkoTV. I try to post every once in a while. Not very good at posting, but you should still follow me just to feed my ego. It's at no, okay, don't do it because of that. If you want to, you can. So Cuban writes me and it says, Lowko, as a silent Korean subscriber, I have a theory on why INnoVation is named as such. His Korean name is Shin Young Lee. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And Shin Young... Nobody saw that. Shin Young is basically the pronunciation for the Korean word of a new product or a new type. Thus, INnoVation. That would not be a bad theory at all. Because INnoVation plays the least innovative style out there. Basically always going for the same thing. This is, by the way, gonna kill workers. How do I know? Just clairvoyant. That's all that's going on. Good pickups right here in the end, but you do need some sort of follow-up as well. These Widow Mines are ready to burrow. Oh, no. Ooh. Disaster? Almost. No, we're gonna kill this all eventually. Okay. Anyways, still certainly not what you're hoping for right here as SOS, as he does lose a bunch of workers. Medevac also gets out. The nice idea, though, about these Phoenix builds... I do like the theory, by the way, Cuban. I don't know if that's the case, but... apparently, Shin Young, it sounds like the Korean word for INnoVation. Or, you know, brand new. Maybe someone in the comment section can elaborate as well. Maybe they have a feeling about that theory, because... I'm just a messenger, okay? I have no idea. But the nice advantage right here of going for Phoenixes, of course, is that you can transition straight towards Colossus. So that's what I'm assuming SOS will do here as well. Third CC coming up right now for Inno. Do love to see that. A little bit of a SCV snipe over there, dealing a bit of damage. Yeah, command center's too far forward, man. Yeah. There's better locations, I think, where you could build this. Or maybe just hugging that second oh, no, no. It's not the game we're playing here. Lifting up your own CC. Bro, do you even lift? Well, INnoVation does. But only at inappropriate times. Raven over here, once again, in the back of the natural mineral line. It is going to get sacrificed for the greater good, but not without taking down 5 workers. Okay, and a zealot. Pretty good. These adepts shading around as well, trying to be annoying, but eventually they too do get pushed back as well. So SOS does have an observer up in the air. He sees roughly what he's playing against. It's going to be that bio-based army with now a 3rd CC, but it's kind of difficult to judge exactly where you're at, right? Yes, there's a little bit of damage done here on the side of the Terran, but the Terran has also done a bunch of damage on your side too. So now these Phoenixes, they really need to start putting in some work. Now they finally start getting some damage done. 3rd Nexus is finished here. We don't have any probes there yet, because, well, we have a couple of workers, but none that are cycled towards the 3rd just yet. There we go. A couple of them now do get chronoed out. This is going to be a dangerous attack, though. 40 army supply right here for Terran versus 28 for the Protoss. A lot of that supply is caught up in units that fly, but that aren't particularly good against this. You do have to be careful, though, as Terran here, because there's a chance that these Phoenixes are going to swoop in and then still get back home in time as well to defend. That's exactly what they try to do right now. Forcing the Terran army back home, but also killing whatever they can. Don't like that missile turret positioning very much. I understand the idea of it. He's trying to, defeat 2 birds with 1 stone, but that is probably better positioned just right there in the middle, so you actually constantly fire right here when those Phoenixes do get some range in the main base. Anyways, now though, by the time the Terran is finally ready to actually go for an attack, Colossi are gonna be out. The extended thermal lens, not chronoed here, wouldn't mind seeing that, but at the very least it's gonna be available soon, and it will be very important when it comes to pushing this back. And look at the timing, actually. Apparently he doesn't even need to chrono it. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Well, if Terran would have kept going, it would have been at the perfect time right there. As the laser started firing, the Colossi would immediately have their ranged upgrade. I don't really like this attack all too much here anymore for, He now decides to go for the 3rd base. Armory coming up, that means that he cannot start up 2-2 right away. Hate seeing that. It's a bad feeling as a Terran player, isn't it? When you want to go 2-2 and you realize, oh crap, I haven't met my armory. That is one of those mistakes you make when you're rusty. Yeah. The most impressive play I've seen from INnoVation so far is against Zerg. That's historically also been a matchup where he's always seemed really comfortable. Against Protoss, and especially against SOS, you start forgetting little mistakes like that, right? You start forgetting, well, little mistakes like that. You forgot little buildings like that, and you need the armory in order to go for the 2-2 research, so you've effectively slowed yourself down by like 30 seconds. Maybe 45 seconds even. That's a lot. Now, will he go straight into 2-2? He will. Okay. That's something. Forge upgrades here, very late for SOS. The forge upgrades are a little bit quicker to research right now. So I guess a single forge is alright. I personally do love seeing double forge styles, especially when you go that very gateway heavy army. But we're once again setting ourselves up for a nice little macro game. Marine here on the left side of the map does scout that there's a Nexus building in the bottom left-hand corner. So that's interesting. Got ghosts coming up already though, and those ghosts are going to be amazing, especially against zealots. That's usually why you want to build them. Make sure you EMP the large group of zealots that will usually come on the back of this after the heavy hitters for Protoss are made, and then you can really get on top of this particular army, right? Like the Marines and Marauders can take this down, but usually there's like a lot of buffer in those zealots, and the quicker you eliminate the zealots, the easier you can make your way to those very strong Protoss units as well. So that's why the ghost EMP is here. INnoVation trying to now pull the opponent into 2 different areas. Widowmine set up over there, nicely done. Trying to get those charge slots once again. If the Protoss units though are in the bottom left-hand corner, it means that obviously there's not as many units over here at the front. Now we see a big warp in, battery overcharge immediately used, nicely done right there by SOS. Very good crisis management, but at the same time, the other Terran units have also joined, well, together right here in the middle of the map. That means that now suddenly the entire Terran army can come together, whereas SOS is still very split up. INnoVation coming in with this entire army. It's a very scary force, but suddenly the reinforcements do start moving here as well from the bottom left. And I think SOS once again ends up holding on just fine. A lot of very low HP Terran units here. Those Phoenix is not as useful anymore at this point, but still picking up a little bit here and there, sniping a couple medevacs. Not bad whatsoever. Honestly, impressive play from INnoVation, or from SOL. Impressive play by INnoVation too, considering the amount of time he's been back for. But I am very impressed with the way that SOS is getting this done. We may very well see a 3-0 lead here. Obviously, this game is by no means over. 4th command center right now, morphing in a planetary fortress, but the big opportunities for Terran were really the ones before this, right? At least that's where we see Terran winning most of their games. None of those timing attacks really working out, and while supply-wise he's fine, upgrades-wise he's fine as well. Well, he's more than fine in that department. Now he's gonna have to play the late game. Okay, well, this is certainly a good beginning, though. Sniping that prism and all of the warpins as well. Very, very good. Massive EMP right here on the ramp. SOS decides to send his ground primarily because of those lasers, but he lost basically all of his buffer. Okay, well, you know what? That certainly makes this game a whole lot more manageable. Immediately, it's game over. SOS making a massive blunder, and it's INnoVation who obtains the victory. Game number 4. We find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. This time around, INnoVation decides to go for a scoutless build, which is always a little bit risky. 1 Marine straight into a reactor. This does mean right now that SOS can come across the map right away with his very first adept, and there's a second one on the back of it as well. Okay. It's just making sure that there's no delayed Reaper coming in, but that is not the case here. 2 more Marines are just about to pop, and you can see that the timing is, well, important, because that could have been an absolute disaster. Adepto is still playing a little bit of back and forth right there with the SCV. Slowing down the CC would be awesome, but I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe the second Adepto can help out. Okay, the dancing has begun. Hope they're wearing their the dancing shoes. Nice, comfortable pants, because otherwise, you know, it's difficult to move. One of the Marines does go down, but not really that much you can do right here as SOS. Command Center has, of course, already finished, and now this economy is gonna have a nice little boom. Twilight Council here for Protoss into a robo facility. So we have to see what sort of upgrade he wants to go for. If I were to make a guess, it should be Blink. 150 gas, boom, there it is. Blink makes a lot of sense here. Just a good overall unit. Stalkers, well, not that great in co-op, as we found out. Ooh, okay. They are pretty dang good against Terran in this particular matchup. Now that was awesome. SOS posting a little question mark right there. INnoVation's like, haha, that Widowmine, basically invisible, hiding behind the line of sight right there, behind the starport. Nicely done. Whenever I first see a question mark in the chat, I always think, oof, for just a second, because I thought for... We see this all the time for the Koreans, right? I thought for a second it was INnoVation typing the question mark, right? I always wonder if it's like bad manners, but I think SOS is the one that is like, ooh, didn't expect that. Surprise! Something along those lines, but at least my very Western brain kind of... Maybe I've played too many ladder games on the European and the North American server, man, but there's a lot of BM going on over there. A lot of bad manners. Yeah, not the case, obviously, at this level of play. At least it shouldn't be. Turns out when you're, well, maybe this Widowmine can get something done before I blabber onwards once again. Turns out when you want to play this game, it is a good idea, at a high level anyways, to, yeah, be friends as well with the guys that you may very well need to practice with. We have had players in StarCraft 2 that nobody really got along with. I'm not gonna name any names. But yeah, finding practice partners at that point is very hard. And it turns out when you don't make friends with people, it's kind of difficult to improve. If you want to, you know, play against the best and you want to beat them, you also need to practice with them. So usually the guys that have stuck around for a long time, yeah, they tend to be good practice partners at the very least. You don't even have to be friendly. You just have to not be a jerk, right? I guess maybe being friendly isn't even important. But yeah, when you constantly BM your opponents, there have been players in the past. Yeah, they just never really got that far. Anyways, we do see a big blink into the main base. Dangerous little move. No second siege tank coming up, though, so that also is a little bit dangerous right here on the side of Terran. Yeah, he decides to go for the switcheroos. We're lacking a tech lab on that factory, so only a single tank. Yeah, okay, I don't actually mind this. Once again, by the way, straight into a robo bay. So SOS ready to lay down the law here. Decides to disengage, though. Okay. The tension was getting a little high. Stalkers are gonna go into both the natural as well as the main. There's another siege tank over here on the low ground, though, so I don't think this can get too much done. But the main base on Ancient System is very, very large. Ooh, close one. Interference Matrix to try and prevent that prism from doing its job. Siege tank actually at the front does go down. Sorry, my observing skills are not great today. I'm still a one-man production team. Sometimes I accidentally miss stuff. Anyways, the siege tank on the low ground got sniped right here by a bunch of stalkers. Now the Raven also in a little bit of trouble, and it also goes down. Whew, not ideal. Yeah, well, 3 Marauders and a siege tank here, ready to counter more prism time, but as long as the stalkers just stick inside of that prism, it's not a problem. Losing the prism would, of course, be terrible. In the meantime, Colossus coming up as well on the side of the Protoss. SCV was building the command center here, the 3rd command center in the main base. Nice little bit of control here by SOS. You love to see it. Okay. Very aggressive play, right? Very micro-heavy style here. 3rd Nexus, in the meantime, has finished up. Photon cannons, shield batteries, pylons, and all the rest of it. Very, very important. Eventually, the 3rd CC is gonna finish up inside of the main base, and that'll be nice. I do expect, though, that SOS is gonna be forced to deal with a Terran army here momentarily, as INnoVation is making himself up for an attack. He's got Stimpack right now. He didn't start combat shields. No, okay, it just finished. I was gonna say. Did it just... Okay. Thought for a second he didn't have it, but forgetting combat shields is another one of those upgrades you really can't forget. Extended thermal lens would be the equivalent, I guess, for the Protoss player. It's just so important. It's pretty much pivotal, but it's easy to accidentally forget. It gives those Marines significantly more life. And even though, in absolute numbers, it doesn't make that big of a difference, it turns out they just simply, well, do a lot more damage the longer they are alive for. Just the way that the damage numbers line up in StarCraft 2. Combat shields is amazing. Observer over here gets sniped as well. Nicely done right there by Inno. Okay. Trying to find his way in StarCraft 2 once more. Maybe struggling a little bit in some departments. But overall, he still certainly seems to have it, right? So again, this particular series, let me just look it up real quick. It was played on the 11th of March. That's my dad's birthday. Hey! INnoVation literally came back on the 1st of March. So that's what it says on his Wikipedia page. He apparently wrapped up his mandatory military service on the 1st. So it's been very recent. I know that SOS has been streaming for a little bit from time to time. So I don't know exactly when he wrapped his up, but I think it's been at least a couple months. So overall, I gotta say, I'm very impressed with the way that INnoVation is... Yeah, once again, like he's clearly finding his way. The problem with this very defensive style is that you have to be on point. Like the only way you learn how to play a defensive style in StarCraft 2 is by losing repeatedly against build orders and then adjusting, right? So say for example, like, oh crap, I always lose against stalkers in the main base. Well, it turns out 1 siege tank over there, 1 siege tank over there. That way I can defend, right? But it's usually, at least in my experience, in every RTS game, significantly easier to be the aggressor than it is to be the defender. And I can imagine for, especially the style that INnoVation likes to play, that very laid back, that very like spongy style, right? Where he absorbs every single blow and then eventually counterattacks. I think, yeah, it's gonna take, especially him, a while to get back into the swing of things, but he doesn't really seem to be struggling very much at all. I think if you give this guy a month, he'll be back at the top. I hope so anyways. We'll see. Pretty good Terran patch overall, it seems. At least Terran players seem to be doing very well right now. Here's an aggressive blink forward though. Yeah, not enough units right here on the right side of the map. That command center not finished yet, and that may very well indeed get cancelled. In the meantime, we've got units coming in from the left. Those ghosts trying to land some good EMPs, and they do get EMPs done. At the same time, couple of zealots here being annoying. They do kill Widow Mines as well as tanks, and that is always something you're willing to trade out as a Protoss player. Big warp in inside of the main base too. It looks like that Prism is gonna get sacrificed, but suddenly there is chaos everywhere, and SOS is the kind of guy who loves these chaotic games, right? He loves fighting in several areas at once, dealing damage everywhere. Suddenly he's coming in from every angle, and this is already too much damage. You can't really recuperate here as a Terran player. You've just lost too much. Vikings coming in, missile turret guys, okay, they've been tasked with now killing Colossi. You know life gets pretty difficult when that is the case, and SOS wins game number 4. Next map is Babylon. After game number 1, SOS has been playing relatively conservatively. Not really too aggressive, nothing all too crazy. But I guess if we start off on a map with double golden minerals, he couldn't resist. Most of the maps in the current StarCraft 2 map pool are pretty standard, except for Altitude. Altitude is still technically in the map pool too. For a best-of-7, you don't veto any maps for a best-of-7 series. Usually the players take turn deciding in what order the games are played, so Altitude is still coming up. That's the map with the watchtower that is covered by rocks and then the golden minerals right there, 8 of them. I would really like to see a map like that. I mean, I don't want to start cheering too heavily for INnoVation just because, well, Altitude is still available, but it would be kind of sick to see what SOS decides to do on a map like that. Anyways, Reaper coming across. We have an Adept over here as well, trying to be annoying in the meantime on the other side of the map. Widow Mines though, and curious and annoying locations. My god, that was very close, but the Adept does live. Reaper in the top right hand corner. Yeah, I've said this time and time again about INnoVation back in the day, but he can be too predictable. Historically speaking, players that play that defensive style, like for example, well, Serral and INnoVation, historically speaking, that is the most successful way to play. But I think in 2023, you really do need a range of abilities. You do really need a range of, well, styles. You can't really just win by playing the macro game every single time. And INnoVation probably disagrees with that statement. But yeah, I would really like to see him go for something maybe a little bit less predictable, you know? Because he had a period back in the day where I think everybody told him, yo, you know, you're playing too laid back. And then there was a time where he was cheesing literally every single game. Almost to prove everybody wrong, right? He's like, well, guys, look, I'm cheesing every game now. And I'm not winning, so it clearly isn't my way to play. But, like, it was... somewhere in the middle is probably the right move, right? So he was either cheesing every game, or he was playing heavy macro in every game. Yeah, I think somewhere in the middle would probably not be a bad idea. Anyways... Phoenix opener here once more for SOS, who decides to go for a Robo Bay on the back of this too. So, a little bit of Colossus play. Once again, this seems to be SOS's favorite build currently. Yeah. Phoenixes into Colossus, especially when you've seen that your opponent has already gone for that Widow Mine approach. Not a bad play at all. Phoenixes are actually splitting up everywhere, because we've seen the Ravens, of course, going across the map multiple times already. But eventually, it looks like we are gonna come together. As the Phoenixes do a return back home right now. As they haven't seen any medevacs. They haven't seen any Ravens. They haven't really seen much of anything. Okay. Laid back approach once again by Inno. With a fast third CC this time around. Not really going for any sort of aggression. Just once again being that sponge who's absorbing every single blow. SOS sieging up the observers in very difficult to spot locations, right? So this is what INnoVation sees. Technically speaking, there's a little bit of a blurry thing right there. If you're watching this this video at the maximum quality that is. I feel like if you're watching this at below 480p, you might not, it might all just be blurry is what I'm saying. Maybe you're listening to the cast only. I know that for many of you, I am more or less a podcast. I'm taking podcast subjects, guys, if you want to hear my opinions on anything in particular. That's what you do in podcasts, right? I listen to quite a few podcasts myself. Most of them, people give terrible opinions. Controversial stuff. Ooh, I need to do more controversial stuff. my first controversy that I'll be discussing in the LowkoTV podcast will be team games. Team games are terrible. I mean, I don't actually think it, but I'm just saying it to hopefully spike controversy and then get clipped, and then you guys post it all over TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and therefore my channel grows, right? So here it is. Team games suck. Anybody that plays team games like CSGO, League of Legends, Dota, Apex, whatever you have, Overwatch, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. I don't think that's even aggressive enough. No. I need to probably double down. I'll have to consider it. Anyways, Phoenix is getting into the main base and dealing a whole lot of damage as well, though. This is starting to hurt. Look at this flawless game so far for SOS, who's lost no units. 7 SCVs here. Now, this is a very macro approach style, of course, here by INnoVation. And we saw him in a similar scenario earlier as well when... What was that? On Dragon Skills? I think it was Dragon Skills, where he was actually in a really bad spot, and then SOS was like, yo, have my units. Not a good play, okay? Giving away your heavy hitters like this, giving away this little group of units, not what you want to do. I know. Free coaching right here in today's video. You're welcome. Normally I charge for that. You're welcome, guys. Don't lose your expensive units. Write that down. All kidding aside though, we have a 4th Nexus right now in the top right-hand corner. An INnoVation going for a large attack wave. Now, of course, as soon as the units leave, the Phoenixes do swoop in. They're gonna have to come back in home in time as well. So 5 SCVs is what we're settling on. 3rd Colossus just spawned. We do not have charge. Charge is not finished yet. +1 also not finished yet. This could actually do quite a lot of damage. Okay. Good retargeting right there on that Widow Mine, by the way. Love to see that. The Phoenix is in the meantime sort of idling here. Trying to pick up a potential medevac flyby, but not that here the case for SO or for INnoVation. You know, going straight into 2-2. Double upgrades this time around for SOS, which I do really like. I think double upgrades is a great way to play if you're in a good economical situation. Now the Phoenixes are once more on the other side of the map, and now a medevac drop. Yeah, I love this. Great idea. If you notice, hey, Phoenixes, they're on my side of the map. Great. Suddenly, you can start moving in. Now, obviously, you do want to attack at multiple different areas at once, preferably. Looks like the Colossi, they do return to try and get rid of a couple of those units. Widow Mine here. Okay, dealing damage wherever it can, and that one Archon, killing a full plane full of units. Not bad at all. Ghost Academy coming up on the back of this. SOS, yeah, not gonna give up this game without a fight. So, because of that, I think Inno was hopefully trying to win. I think he was trying to win here before this ever got to this position, but he's gonna have to continue macroing. So, decides to go for the Ghost Academy. I really like to see that. Big warp-ins right now for SOS, who's actually got a lot of money in the bank. He must have missed a warp-in. Decides to go for additional Archons. How many gateways are we on? 8, yeah, so he probably just missed a warp in here. That actually really does kind of suck. Needs to be careful. Good stutter step control once again. Colossi do want to come in from the side, but so far that's not really happening. Doesn't have an observer up in the air here. Oh, there is an observer. It's in the middle of his army, but apparently he decides to not clean up those Widow Mines. I think that's a gigantic mistake. Those Widow Mines can just march there. I mean, there's 2 photon cannons, but they can still get within range. Anyways, apparently SOS is now the one who's smelling blood in the water. That is a dangerous move. There's not that many Terran units available, but you gotta be so careful. A couple of the bio units coming in from the back. Widow Mine does get sniped. These Widow Mines over here are ready to fire once more, and they're gonna join forces once again here with some of the other bio units. Dropping the main base right now. INnoVation. Trying to take a page out of SOS's book earlier on in this series. He is suddenly everywhere, trying to be annoying. Immediately, SOS is looking at this. He's like, you know what? I am gonna go for the base race. He decides to turn around. Goes after the 3rd expansion here by the Terran player, but he needs to be very cautious. Already losing a Nexus over there. The main base also in some trouble. Looks like some of the units got recalled, but quite a big chunk of the Protoss army is still available on the other side of the map. Both players hitting supply blocks right now. The bio army still good. Look at those Widow Mines from earlier. It's difficult to engage into this with Zealots because the Zealots are just going to die. This command center did not finish up. We do have the Colossi right now, though, getting into the natural, and they're trying to break this position. Protoss losing the third Nexus as well. He's already lost a whole lot of them. Those Widow Mines from earlier still helpful, trying to deal damage wherever they can, and they are going to fire. I don't think this is the fight you're hoping for, man. Nah, there's a minefield over here as well. INnoVation getting the better trade here for certain. He's now effectively reduced his opponent to 2 bases, but also a very small army. 35 probes have gone down in total. The main and the natural are essentially mined out. Obviously the same is, well, the case right here for Terran, but Terran structures fly. He still has a lot of energy available. Then again, though, this is a scary army here for the Protoss player. These Colossi deal so much damage, but the Marauders, they don't mess around. One of the Colossus goes down, second Colossus goes down, third also ends up falling here. And with those laser giraffes out of the equation, I think it's going to be very difficult for SOS to come back. Observer gets sniped there too. That kind of sucks because now there's nothing to actually stop those Widow Mines. And you want to continuously be producing something that actually fires out of the Robo facility at this point in time. SOS does have 3-3 coming up. I wouldn't mind seeing him chronoing that out just to try and go for one final push. Terran, in the meantime, has resecured the third base. Widow Mine in that, missile turret in that location as well. Super nice. Nexus is not gonna happen. Now, I think what you do is you go for one big push SOS. He does have some invisible men. Dark Templar are very powerful, but there's still a bunch of command centers available, and SOS, well, he's going up against a Terran player who's got a good amount of energy. Now he knows about the DTs as well. Trying to make the best of it. At least he saves it. Slows down the 4th command center. But I think SOS has to go for a push. The problem is right now he's almost doubled. Doubled in supply count. If we look right here at the army size over time, yeah, this is really telling the story. INnoVation getting ahead right there. Now what he needs to do is clean up this Protoss force. He should have the upper hand, but he still needs to be careful. There's no sentries here in the mix. So there's not that much you can reliably do. Vikings are also coming out. There's a large Terran army right now setting up a flank right here from the left. And the question is, when does INnoVation pull the trigger on that stim pack? Well, the answer is right now. Massive EMP on top of all of those Protoss units. Archons are much more flimsy right now. The Zealots over there, they deal a bunch of damage, but they do get sniped. Good splits right there by Inno, as he gets another point on the board. Looks like I got my wish. We find ourselves on altitude in game number 6. Okay, so this is a map with those, well, double golden expansions, right? They're covered by a watchtower, but what you can do is knock down the cooling tower over here. It destroys the watchtower, at which point you can destroy the rocks, at which point you have access to the golden minerals. It takes a while. I've seen very, very few games where it actually comes into play. And so far... Sorry, I'm too curious. Pause, please. Sorry, ready? 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 Okay, that was kind of unexciting. Yeah, I've seen very few games where the golden minerals actually do come into play. I can dream, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe though. Nexus so far, at least, just in the conventional location. No wall off here to prevent the Reaper from coming in. It's because there is no Reaper. Obviously, by the time he put down his first pylon, though, there was really no way of knowing that. There's always a bit of debate on whether or not you should actually do it. Because when you think about it, right, the only units that are melee in this particular matchup, other than, I guess, SCVs and probes, are Zealots. So, in the end, if you end up putting your structures over here on the high ground, you usually end up shooting yourself in the foot. The only thing it really helps out against is that very first Reaper. But obviously, if your opponent doesn't go for a Reaper, that's not a big problem. I think that pylon is one square too far forward, but anyways. Let's see. Where are we gonna go from here? Both players setting themselves up for a normal game once more. Although this is pretty gateway heavy. Triple gateway this time around and no tech. That is funny, actually. Triple gateway, no tech. What are we gonna go for, SOS? No, I think you were trying to make a Twilight Council? think that's the plan. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense here. He's got a lot of gas, though. I mean, if I had this much gas, I'd probably go double sentry. That's the only thing that really seems logical to me. But double sentry out of these two gateways would be a little funky. Okay. He's waiting for the warp gate research. So what are we gonna warp in? What are we gonna use all this gas on? We're gonna warp in Adepts, and I guess go for Blink inside of the Twilight Council. But he's already got too much gas for anything. This is not the most optimal build, that's for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be Blink. Started at like 350 gas. It's... I mean, Glaives is probably more expected at this point, even though Glaives is a little funny. Is he gonna commit? I think he will commit, yeah. That is not enough Marines. There's not enough available right here for Terran to actually clean this all up. An odd amount of Adepts show up at the 4-minute mark because of the triple gateway start. And this is completely catching INnoVation off guard, who's been deciding here for a while that he doesn't go for any sort of scouting. Right now there's a Widowmine drop once again coming in, but that's the first time that Terran will actually see something from the Protoss' base. So this triple gateway start is working out really lovely right here for SOS. SOS looking at the build order that the opponent has been playing over the course of this series, and he's like, you know what? I think this is the time. Widowmine does, okay, connect here in the main base, maybe? Oh, good split. Very good split. Last second decision. That could have been an absolute disaster right there, but SOS minimizes the amount of damage he takes. Okay. So now suddenly though, the gas count is gonna work out quite nicely right here for Protoss. He's gonna want to warp in as many of those Stalkers as he possibly can. He needs something for high ground vision. So that's a little bit difficult here. Yeah, he decides to go for the third Nexus. We don't have a Robo facility, right? So, yeah, there's no way for him to get an Observer out or a Prism or anything that will allow him to blink into the main base. So breaking this Siege Tank is going to be really, really tricky. I actually think sitting right here is probably a better choice. Yeah, so now the Robo facility comes up. Okay. So, SOS using the triple gateway here to effectively leverage himself into a very nice situation. But now he's macroing on the back of it. Macroing while, you know, having all of his units on the other side of the map, because that's what SOS likes to do. Not really making a lot of use out of Blink right there, though. So this all feels a little, yeah, a little funky. Maybe just trying it out, right? If he recognized that INnoVation doesn't go for a single early game scout after a couple of games, well then maybe it's not a terrible idea. Those Siege Tanks once again putting in a lot of pressure. Now suddenly though, we do have the aggressive Blink forward. Still, nothing here on the high ground to scout those Siege Tanks, or to scout those Siege Tanks, so that makes things a little trickier, but this is certainly not looking good right here for Inno whatsoever. Aggressive Blink forward once again. That's another Siege Tank going down, and now the SCVs are in trouble too. The Ravens also have to be careful. Widowmine drop does come back with 1 red HP Widowmine, and this is good right here for Protoss again as well, because if that Widowmine drop comes back home, that means that, well, you don't have to worry too much, right? You also can even maybe intercept that Medevac. Picking it off here would be amazing, and it's currently flying straight through the center of the natural. Speaking of natural, the orbital command has to lift off as well. He could even blink forward and get it if he really tries. That's sloppy right there, but Inno ends up losing the Medevac with the Widowmine inside of it as well. Just set that on its road back home, and it never actually did anything with it. Command center will live. But if it's up to our Protoss player here, he's gonna try and win the game. Colossus coming up, extended thermal lens, researching. Okay. Looks like he's gonna alleviate some of the pressure here for at least a while, as he's already thinking about going for another base, I think. I mean, he shouldn't. Nah, maybe going for more pylons here, just to scout incoming Medevacs would be better, but 3 base saturation basically done before the Terran even gets a 3rd base. That is, for obvious reasons, a good position to be in right here. Income-wise, yeah, we've had that income advantage for a little while already, and that will ultimately lead towards a bigger army size as well. Now, these are Terran units that trade very cost efficiently. So Siege Tanks are obviously really good. Marines and the Ravens, they can all provide a lot of value. But this is now SOS's game to lose. Okay. Prism coming up. I think it's up to our Protoss player to continue the pressure if he wants to. So, INnoVation really has two options. Either he goes for a big attack, or he tries to secure the third base. In both scenarios, Terran's gonna have to venture out into the map, right? They're gonna have to make a move. So, if that's the case, all SOS needs to do is see the attack or the expansion, and then decide if he wants to move himself or defend at home. So now he sees that there's a big move out. Yeah, the units are chasing him quite far as well, just picking up whatever he can. Okay, loses a Stalker, that's a little bit sloppy. Forces a Stimpak as well. The boys are coming as well. The boys are coming as well to try and clean up this Protoss force. INnoVation has realized that this needs to be an all-in right now. How many Colossus are there? 2. They do have their extended thermal lens upgrade as well. There are some force fields available and even some feedbacks too on the Ravens! Oh my god, beautiful move right there by SOS. Before he actually morphs in the Archon, Zealots are charging wherever they can, and this is gonna be an incredibly clean game right here from SOS, who wins this Best-of-7 series. 4-2. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, you made it all the way until the very end, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. It really does help. And of course, if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I try to post new videos pretty much every single day. Thanks for watching, don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.